Okay, today what we're going to be doing is we're going to be doing the guided program development for Chapter 6. So go ahead and start Microsoft Visual Basic 2010. And what you're going to need is you're going to need the files for Chapter 6, so you can get those off the Chapter 6 learning units. So go ahead and download those files because we're going to need a picture from that from those files. So go ahead and download those. What we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and start a new project, Windows Forms application. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to do a new Windows Forms application. We're going to go ahead and name this Radar. And okay. Okay, so when our new form comes up, we're going to rename this. So right click, rename. Okay, go ahead and delete this. And this is going to be FRM, Radar. Okay, so that's going to be Form Radar. Okay, next thing we're going to do is we're going to change the text. So go ahead and click on the form. We're going to go down to our text property here. And we're going to change the text property to Radar Speed. Okay, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to change our size to 341 by 509. Okay, make it kind of long. Okay, the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to add a menu strip object. We haven't done menu strips before. Menu strips are going to be same thing in our toolbox. We're going to scroll down into our menus and toolbars, and we're just going to add a menu strip. Okay, menu strip is going to go right up here. So click in the little type here, and we're going to add a menu item. We're going to call it File. Now, what we want to do is we want to add kind of a, what do you call it? We want to add a hotkey combination for it. So to add a hotkey combination, what we're going to do is we're going to use that ampersand. So if you put an ampersand before it, what that does is it makes that letter that you put the ampersand right in front of into a hotkey. Okay, so this is going to be File. Now, see that underline right there underneath that? That means that when we press the Alt key and the F key, it's going to be File. Okay, so then the next thing we want to do is we want to add menu items underneath this. So we're going to click on the other one. If you wanted to add more top level ones, you would click here to type, but we don't want to do that. So if you want to go back here, you can just type here. We're going to type underneath it, and we're going to do an ampersand, clear. And then we want to do exit, but we want the X. Okay, you want to keep it pretty much the same as other programs. So we want the X to be the hotkey. So we're going to do E, and then we're going to do the ampersand, and we're going to do, we're going to do the ampersand, and we're going to do XIT. Now, see, you can see that the X is underlined. So that means that we've done the hotkey under there. Okay, now what we're going to do is we're going to put in a picture box. Looking at that, there it is, picture box. My alphabet is going cuckoo. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to add a picture box, and I just double click whenever I add things, unless I know exactly where I want it. Here we're going to use the location property to change our picture box. So I'm just going to double click because since we're using the location property, I'm not going to drag it and then have to do that. So I'm just going to do that. So we're going to name this picture box. We're going to call this where is this? Pick Radar. Pick Radar. And we're going to change the size of it to 102.89. So we're going to go down to size, elemental P size, and we're going to change that to 102.89. And then we're going to go to location, and this is what I was talking to. Right now it's 00 because see the corner of it is way up here, right on the corner, 00. So what we're going to do is we're going to change the location to 1341. 1341. And see, since we're changing the location that way, I don't really care where I put it in the first place. So we're going to do a title label, and we're going to do that the same way. So I'm just going to, oops, don't want to do it that way. So I'm going to undo. Okay, don't have this selected if you're going to double click because it does weird things like that. So I'm going to do my label, and we're going to do this one. We're going to change the name of it, and we're going to call this one label title. Okay, we're going to change the text property of it because we want to change the label, and we're going to call this one highway radar checkpoint. Okay, now we want this to show on 2 lines. So what we're going to do is we're just going to pull this down, and what we're going to do here is we're just going to put an enter. Okay, so now it's on 2 lines. Okay, pretty cool that, isn't it? Okay, so see how it's on 2 lines now? Okay. So we're going to put that on 2 lines. Now we're going to change the font on this. So F font. And we're going to change the font on this to Tahoma. So we're going to make it Tahoma. We're going to make it bold. We're going to make it 18. Okay, and then we're going to change the text align property. So that's under T for text align. Sorry about the airplanes, guys. Okay, we're going to change the text line to middle, and then we're going to change the location on this to location. And we're going to change this to 133.41. Okay, so we're going to put it right where we want it there. Okay, now the next one we're going to do, we're going to click out of that one, and we're going to put another label here. Okay, and this one's going to be label title. No, sorry, this one isn't going to be label title. This one's going to be label posted speed. Label posted speed. Okay, and then the text property for this one is going to be posted speed, oops, speed limit 60 miles per hour, and we're going to change this to Tahoma font, and we're going to change this to Tahoma, and oblique is the same thing as italicized, and we're going to make this 10 point. Okay, now this one I'm just going to move manually, and I want to align it with the bottom here. See how it lines up in the bottom, and I'm just going to center this right there. Center it. Okay, now the next thing that I want to do is I want to do a button. Now this button I'm just going to draw a button down here because I want it sort of in this general vicinity right about there-ish. Okay, now this button, I am going to name this button button enter speed. Button enter speed. And my text property is going to be enter speed. And you can probably guess that by what the name of it is. Okay, and then I am going to change my font to Tahoma 11 point. So my font is going to be Tahoma 11. Okay, and then if it doesn't fit, you're just going to make it so that it fits. And we're going to position it right about here-ish. And then we're going to center it on our form. Okay, we want it right smack dab in the middle. Okay, next thing that we're going to do is we're going to do a list box. Okay, and then again, we're going to kind of reposition this one so you can do whatever you want with that. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to add a list box. Okay, we're going to name the list box list radar speed. List radar speed. Okay, we're going to change the font size to 11-point Tahoma. Okay, so we're going to do Tahoma. And then we're going to make this 11 points. Okay, and then we're going to make the size of it 34,184. Okay, now they said, you know, you can do it this way. They said make it 3 by whatever, but I mean, kind of, they said that their size is this size, so we're going to use their size. 34,184, and then we're going to put it right about here-ish. And then I'm just going to, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to center it on the form horizontally, just to make sure it's kind of in the middle. Okay, now the next thing we need to do is we need to add, they actually put it down a little bit, so I'm just going to move it down a little bit. And then I'm going to center it on the form again, just to make sure. Okay, now the next thing that we need to do is we need to add a result label. So we need to do a result label. And we're going to call this label average speed. Label average speed. Okay, and then our text for it is going to be average speed at, and this is actually just a placeholder. Checkpoint is x.xx mph. Okay, then we're going to change our font to Tahoma. We like to keep all of this kind of standardized. You know, you don't want like a million different fonts. Usually you want to keep a maximum of 3 different fonts, usually like some sort of a title font, and then 2 other fonts at the most. So obviously they've got one font going on in a couple different sizes. And then what we're going to do is we're just going to pull this down here. Oops, checkpoint. Fix that. Checkpoint. Always check your spelling there. Okay, and then what we're going to do is we're going to center this in our form horizontally. Here we go. Checkpoint is x.xx mph. Remember, always check your spelling. Okay, so now what we've got everything pretty much set up. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to start adding some coloring. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to select our form and we're going to change the back color. So we're going to go to B for back color, and we're going to change the back color. We're going to use the web white, not transparent, but white. Okay, so we're going to change the back color to white. We're going to change the color of the title label. So, and actually, instead of scrolling up and down, what you can do is you can just go to the title label, and we've got label title right there, and that'll select it. See, as long as you've got it selected, you're fine. And what we're going to do is we're going to go to the for color right here, and we're going to go to the web colors, and our web color is going to be steel blue. So that's down in the blue colors. So we're going to go steel blue, dark slate gray, and we're looking for steel blue here. It's right there. Okay. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to change the button color, and we're going to make that light steel blue. So we can do that, or you can change it up here too. So, and we're going to choose the back color. Okay, and then again, we're in the blues again. So we're going to go all the way down to the blues, and we want light steel blue. So it's right there. Okay, and we're going to change the font color of the list box. So this is going to be the for color because we want the front color. Okay, so the for color is going to be the web colors again. And we want this to be, what color did I say that one? We wanted that to be steel blue. So we're going to go down to our blues again. And we want that to be steel blue. So we're going to pick steel blue on that. And then we're going to insert the radar image. So we're going to go up to our pick box. And again, if you want to, you can always pick it here. So here's our pick radar. And we're going to go to our image property, and we're going to choose our image. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to go to local resource, we're going to go to import, and we want to go to our folder that has our pictures in it. It's our Chapter 6 folder. Here's the radar button, or the radar image. We're going to open that and then choose OK. Okay, the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to go to our size property. Okay, our size mode, sorry. And we're going to stretch image. And what that does is, and I'm going to scroll up so you can see it. And what it does here is you can see that it makes it so that you can see the whole picture. Okay. So the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to change the visible property for the average speed label. Okay, so we're going to go down and we're going to choose an average speed label, and we're going to change the visible property. We're going to change that to false. Okay, then we're going to make the enter speed button the accept button. Okay, to do that, we need to select our form because that's a property of the form. We're going to scroll up and we're going to choose the accept button. And we're going to choose enter speed. Okay, and now our user interface is finished. Now we need to start programming. Okay, so the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to start by double-clicking on our enter speed button. All right, so the first thing we need to do is we need to enter our comments. Let the person who's looking at this know a little information about you. So we're going to start with the, oops, need to be up here. Remember, a hash mark for your comments. So we're going to start with the program name. Okay, and that's going to be, we'll call it radar checkpoint analysis. And the author, oops, is going to be you. And the date. And the purpose. And the purpose of this is the radar checkpoint analysis program requests. And then remember another hash mark, because you have to have a hash mark before every comment line. The speed from a highway radar checkpoint. It displays the speed, nope, sorry, I was right. It displays each speed. After all speeds have been entered, it displays the average speed for all vehicles. Okay, and then remember, leave some white space between your comments and your program start. All right, the next thing we need to do is we need to start programming our program. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to start down here. Okay, leave some white space. We don't want to just go ahead and start start writing. You always want to leave some white space because it makes it easier to read. Okay, so what we're going to do now is we're going to tell what does the button enter speed do. Okay, so button enter speed, click event, accepts and displays up to 10 speeds. Okay, from the user, and then calculates and displays the average, oops, golly gee, from the user, and then calculates and displays average speed. Okay? Then what we're going to do is we're going to declare and initialize variables. Okay? Again, leave some white space. Okay, so we're going to dim okay, now don't worry about that little squiggly line. That just means it's unused. Okay, see if you mouse over it shows you it's unused. So you're fine. Okay, the next one, so vehicle speed, we're going to have okay, remember to always use that IntelliSense if you can. Okay, it's always best to use IntelliSense because if you use IntelliSense, then you know you're not making a mistake. Okay, now we did the 0D because otherwise, if we don't do the 0D, then if we don't actually calculate the average, then that's going to be an unused variable, and it's going to throw an error. It's going to create a problem. So if we don't actually have to calculate an average, like if the user doesn't put in any vehicle speeds, then that would create an error. So we go ahead and we initialize this variable so that we don't have a problem in case the user doesn't do what they're supposed to do. Okay, so we go on, we declare and initialize the variables used for the input function call. Okay, this way we don't have to type these strings over and over and over again. These are going to be used in the message box. Okay, these are all going to be used in the message box, and this way we can just use the variable instead of retyping these strings over and over and over again. Okay, then the next thing that we need to do is we need to declare and initialize the variables used in the loop processing, okay, because we're going to have to do a loop in this. Okay, the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to talk about we're going to write the loop information. Okay, so what this line does is we have the vehicle. We're assigning to the vehicle speed string. Okay, this is an assignment operator. We have an input box. Oops. We have an input box, and we have the okay, so what we've done is this is kind of like a message box, but it's an input box, which means we can actually input information into it. And what we have is, here's the input message, okay? So here's our input message here, string input message. So what it's going to put is it's going to put enter the speed for vehicle, and then there's the number. And then it's going to put the max number of entries. So this is the counter, okay, up to counter 10. And then it's going to put the input heading. Where's the input heading? There's the input heading is radar speed is what the input heading is going to be. And then this is going to be that's the third part of your argument, which is just going to be left blank. See, because there's nothing that we put there. Okay, so we'll look at this in just a minute so that we can see what that is. But this is the input box. That's what it's going to be. So this is going to be that's going to be in the heading part. Okay. This is going to be that's going to be the counter. Okay, this is the input message. That's telling the user what it's going to be. An input box means that it's going to be able to accept input from the user. Okay. Okay, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to code our loop. Okay. Okay, do until. So that means do until what? Do until we hit a certain condition. Do until we hit a certain condition. So here we have to put the condition. So now we have to put the conditional statement. What's the condition? We're going to do it until what? Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to put number of entries int number of entries. Okay, so there's number of entries is greater than int number of entries, or string vehicle speed is equal to string cancel clicked. Okay, so in other words, or if they hit the cancel clicked number. Okay, so if the number of entries is greater than the number of max entries, which in other words, if I've tried to put 11 entries in, okay, so once I hit the number of entries, so I can put in 10, so once I get to my 11th try, it's going to quit, or when I hit the cancel button. Okay, when I hit the cancel button, it's going to quit, or when I get to my 11th entry. Okay, so it's saying do until I either hit my max number or until I hit the cancel clicked button. Okay, now it's telling me what to do. Once I hit that condition, now it's saying do this. Now it's testing. Is numeric okay, there's my string vehicle speed. Okay, so in other words, it's saying, so what it's going to do is it's going to go into this loop. So each time I do this, it's going to go into this loop. And now it's going to say, whatever I put into that input box, it's going to say, is it a number? Okay, so is what I put into that number box, into that input box, a number? If it is, then it's saying convert it to a decimal and assign it to decimal vehicle speed. Okay, so if it's a number, then convert it to a decimal and assign it to vehicle speed. Because remember, I put it into a text box, so it's text. So now it's saying take that, convert it to a decimal, and assign it to that decimal vehicle speed so that we can use it as a number, because we can't average text, right? We can only average numbers. Okay, then it's saying if it's greater than 0, then then it's saying add it to that list. Okay, because we made that list box. Remember we made that list? So it's saying add it to that list box. Okay, then it's saying the total of all speeds okay, so then it's saying add that vehicle speed to that total of all speeds. Okay, then add 1 to the number of entries. Okay, and then make the input message the normal message. Okay, so it's saying everything's hunky-dory, so go on, let's do the next one. So it's saying if it's greater than 0, then then we're going to add it to the list of radar speeds. We're going to add one to the number of entries, and then we're going to make it a normal message, and then we're going to move on, and we're going to ask for the next number. Okay, so it's saying all is go. Let's go to the next one. Okay, that's what it's saying. Okay, then it's saying if it's not, okay, and then it's saying it's the negative error. Okay, so it's saying, okay, so this one it's saying if it's greater than 0, then everything's hunky-dory. Otherwise, say, hey, it's negative error. Oops, you made a mistake. Okay, now we're doing this, now we're saying it's not numeric, so now we're doing the next else. And we're saying, okay, you know what? It wasn't numeric, so now we're outputting the numeric error. Okay, and now we're doing one more if. Okay, so now we're checking the number of entries. Okay, so all we're doing there is we're just advancing. We're making it the next. We're making it the next number. So now we're saying it's the next vehicle. Okay, and then we're ending that if statement, and then we're ending our loop. Okay. Now, after we're done adding the loop, now we want to make the average. So now we've made it possible. So now they've entered all of their, all of the car speeds. Okay. So now we need to make the label visible, make the average speed label visible, right? So what we're going to do is we're going to do label average speed dot visible equals true. Okay, so then what we need to do is we need to calculate and display the average speed. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to calculate and display average speed. Okay, so what we're going to do now is we're going to say if int number of entries is greater than 1, because you have to have at least 1 to have an average, right? Because otherwise it's a divide by zero error, and that's not good. So you don't want to do that. You never want to. You always want to check if it's greater than 1, because otherwise it's going to be a divide by zero error, and it's going to throw an error. It's going to stop your program from running. So always check that. So then we're going to do decimal average speed is equal to decimal total of all speeds divided by the int number of entries minus 1. And we want to put that all in parentheses. And why is it -1? Because when we go through here and we loop around, we do this add 1. So what it's going to be is actually, if you do 10, it's actually going to add 1 because it's 1. Starts out as 1. Then this one, if it goes through, it's going to be 2. But you still only have 1 car. So what's going to happen is when you come out of the loop, it's going to be equal to 11. So you have to do that -1 in order to get the right number. Otherwise, you have 1 extra. So you have to do that -1. Otherwise, you're going to have 1 too many cars. Not good. So your average would be off. Okay, so then we're going to do label average speed dot text. Okay, because remember, we're outputting to a text box, so we have to do that dot text because that's the property that we're outputting it to. Equals. Okay, now remember I said that was a placeholder because we can't just output to that XX, that x.xx. We can't just output to just that one part. We have to output the whole label. So we're going to actually type in this whole thing. Output speed at checkpoint is, and then an ampersand concatenates. And then all this does is allows us to wrap that line, space, and then underscore. That just allows us to wrap that line. And then the des average speed, that's that. And then we have to, in order to output to a text box, we have to change it to a string. So we're going to do that to string. Okay, and that's just the format. The F1 is the formatting. And that just puts the 2 decimal points after it. And the ampersand concatenates. And then we're going to put MPH. Okay, make sure you put that space in there. You want that space right there. See between the quotation marks? You want that space. If you don't have that space, it's not going to go in there. Okay? We did that if statement, but we want an else after that. Okay, because if it's not greater than 1, we have to say what's going to happen if it's not greater than 1. So if it's not, we need to tell them that it's not. So we're going to do label average speed dot text, and we're going to tell them, we're going to say there's no speeds entered. Okay, so they didn't enter any speeds, so we can't do anything about it. Okay, so then what we're going to do is we're going to disable that speed button, because once we've done that, we don't need them to be doing anything. So we're going to disable the enter speed button. And then remember, this is just the enable property, so this is really easy. We're just going to do the button enter speed, not the click. So, and then that's the enabled and equals, and then we just have to set it to false. Okay, and that's the end of the sub procedure. Okay, now if you want to run it at this point to make sure that everything's running correctly, and that's always a good idea. Once you're done with a sub procedure, it's always a good idea to run it to make sure it's fine. So just press the enter speed, and we can do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And the speed is 5.5 miles per hour. And it's not working there, see, because it's putting 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0. So we know that there's a problem. It's broken. So we'd have to go back and figure out what is wrong. Why is it not doing what it's supposed to be doing? So you'd have to go back and you have to check and see where you messed up. So let's take a look and see. So we did mess up something. Something is messed up here. There it is right there. This should be dec vehicle speed, not decimal, average speed. Okay. And this should be and string int. This should not be max number of entries. This should be number of entries. I noticed that when I first put it in, it said 10. So let's run it again. You should always check these things. Always check. Okay, let's try it again. Enter speed. Okay, so notice it says vehicle 1. Last time it said vehicle 10. So that's right. And we're going to put 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, and now it puts it in there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, much better. Always check these things. I check them. Okay, when I check your program, I make sure they work. Okay, you should always check errors too. Okay, so like you should try putting in enter speed, and you should put like 2F. No. 4. -3. Okay. 4. Okay, so you say check errors too and see if they work. Okay, and then see, I checked the cancel button to see if I could do just a few numbers. Always check everything. Check everything. No kidding. Check everything. Okay, so that seems to be ready. We're ready to continue on to the next step. Okay, so we run the program. So now we're going to enter the code for the clear menu item. So we're going to go back to our form. Oops. Go back to our form. And we're going to click on File, and we're going to double click on Clear. Okay, that brings us into our tool strip item. And so what we're going to do is we're going to put in our comments. I like white space. So we're going to put the menu clear, click event, clears the list box object and hides the average speed label. It also enables the enter speed button. Okay, white space. All right, then what we're going to do is we're going to, first thing we're going to do is we're going to clear the list box. So we're going to, oops, put my fingers in the right place. So there's our list radar speed right there. We're going to do items. There's right there, and we're going to clear them. And then this is the method, so and it takes no arguments, so we use the parentheses there. Okay, then the next thing we're going to do is we're going to make the label we're going to make it invisible. So we're going to do label average speed dot visible, and we're going to make that false. And then the next thing we're going to do is we're going to enable the button. Okay, so the button dot enabled, and we're going to make that true. Okay, a little white space there afterwards. Okay, and then the next thing we're going to do is we're going to code that exit. So back to the form, and we're going to go to that exit, and this one, little white space, and we're just going to put the menu exit, click event, closes the window, and exits application. Okay, little white space, and this one is easy. We just close, and that's all there is to it. Okay, again, you want to test your program. So we already tested the main part. Sometimes you want to test the main part anyway and make sure that it all works. Okay, check that. Nope, error. enter the speed. Okay, 4, 5, 7, cancel. Okay, that's not disabled, so I need to check that too. Oh, no, okay, it is. That's okay. All right, so that's good. File clear, enabled, file exit. Okay, it all seems to be working. Everything's fine. Looks good. So once you've got that all checked, you're satisfied that everything works, then you can go ahead and save it. File, save all, and turn it in.